I want to thank all of you for joining us in this space for our monthly MoAD open mic. My name is Nia McAllister, and I'm the Senior Public Programs Manager at the Museum of the African Diaspora in San Francisco. I'm super excited to have our feature tonight, Briana Grogan, joining us, and a wonderful lineup of poets will be reading throughout the open mic. As we begin all of our events, we like to ground ourselves in the spaces that we're occupying. As many of us are settlers, immigrants, and/or descendants of those forcibly brought to this continent. Our institutions were founded upon the exclusions and erasures of the indigenous peoples on whose lands we are located. MoAD occupies the unceded lands of the Ramaytush Ohlone peoples, and we pay our respect to the Ohlone peoples and their elders, both past and present, who have stewarded this land throughout the generations. We encourage everyone to learn more about the native lands that you occupy by visiting nativeland.ca. And that's a resource that we're sharing in the chat for you as well. So I want to welcome all of you again here, but for those of you who are returning, the many familiar faces we have in the audience, as well as those who are new in this space. Super excited to have all of you. MoAD's Open Mic is a series we've been doing since 2018. We had a few years in person at the Museum of the African Diaspora, and we've now taken it virtual in the last few, and it's been really wonderful to see our community and our audiences expand beyond just physically the Bay Area now throughout the state, throughout the country, and also globally. So thank you all for being here and being contributors to this open mic space. It's a platform where we bring our full selves, the spectrum, our feelings, experiences, perspectives that all shape us. It's where we can use art as a way to connect with one another, to find comfort and joy in each other's company. I want to emphasize we always center respect in this space, and we continue to amplify Black voices. So I'm going to give a quick rundown of the format of the event and then dive right into all the wonderful poets we have for you this evening. So I ask that if you are not one of the poets who signed up to read throughout the event, please do keep yourselves on mute just so we can hear our poets. That being said, I do encourage you to use the chat, the reactions, any way to give love and support and affirmation to all the readers coming up. Reading in front of people is a vulnerable thing, and so please be here to support all the wonderful people we have coming up to the mic. Each of our readers who sign up will have 4 to 5 minutes to share, and I will introduce you before you come up. If for some reason someone in the lineup isn't in the room, but they join later, we'll circle back to them. And about midway through our open mic readers, we have our wonderful feature, Briana again, who will be bringing us some wonderful poems. And I'm pretty sure those are all the ground rules for the space. And with that, I would like to invite up our first reader of the night, a familiar face in here, Norm Maddox. Welcome up, Norm.
Good evening. Wonderful to be back. Happy New Year. And I'm gonna jump right in here. It's a short piece and a long piece. Earth becomes soft. A decades-long drought has made the ground hard as concrete. Receding shores uncover the remains of bodies lost underwater, on purpose, by accident. Death becomes easier when you can bury the evidence. My turn will come, undoubtedly, but not without a shovel. When the earth becomes soft, I might drown underground. Next piece. What good is the poet? After Lawrence Ferlinghetti. What use is poetry when the words burn the page before they can be read out loud? Words spoken into ether are as flammable as methane gas, burning holes through thinning layers of ozone, piercing fog-bank thinking that doubles down as ignorance. What good is poetry with all its metaphorical insights, unless the words incite a riot of conscience, challenging you to look in the mirror, reflections of the animal crying wolf as if life put your voice on mute. So the dog barking up the wrong tree distracts your attention away while bridges burn to the ground. What good is the poet if their words are lost in the ashes? Books burned because the powers that be are afraid of the truth, that they are the barbarians at the gate, that the map they've drawn circles back to the original lie, that this land is your land, from sea to shining sea, while history rides over bodies that lived here long before their lives were discovered. The poet must prepare to listen like a tuning fork vibrates, finding resonance in the surrounding terrains. The poet must listen through the soles of their feet, kneel in prayer to the souls in their sleep. The poet must bring in the balance, must hang in the balance between hyperbolic emotional responses along the spectrum, tempt the empathies to suffer the same agony, walk to the same cliff's edge to ponder the expanse. The poet must peer into the same suffocating darkness where voices are swallowed, confident the ancestors are near enough to whisper their lives. There are no words to misunderstand, only intuitions. The poet must become fluent in the dialects of languages spoken across the in-between. The poet must collaborate with artists across the breadth of creation, tap wisdom that flows like sap in some places, like a waterfall in others. The poet must have a contract with their muse, agree to wait impatiently for the prompt, right when symbol and concept come out of the silence. A cacophony of whispers become the code that is the poet's voice. The poet's voice must speak tribal taboos, unspoken for generations, undermined and dividing communities into binaries that keep us separated and disintegrated from the whole of us by man-made borders and boundaries. The poet must be equal parts proud of and humbled by the responsibility their words share, the possibility of making a difference in ocean depths of the global conscience, evolving humanity word by word. Truth be told, changing the landscape, earthshake to catastrophic earthquake. Redraw maps of the sky with no lines nor borders between dreams, concept, vision, and action. A result between utopia and dystopia, a nature full of perfect imperfections. The poet must never be satisfied nor pacified by praise unless the action in their words becomes the DNA of human impulse seeking a higher trajectory. Peace.
Amazing, amazing stuff. Thank you so much, Norm, for starting us off, and always wonderful to have you on here. Next up, I would like to invite Sylvia Blaylock up to the mic. Welcome back, Sylvia.
Thank you, Nia. It's good to be back. Good to see you. I'm going to say, because Norm didn't, that if you don't already have a copy of Black Calculus, his book, which is published on Nomadic Press, it is going to be sunsetted this year. So please go onto the Nomadic Press website and pick up your copy of that book while you still can, or tap Norm and buy it straight from him. Norm, do better, dude. Okay. And now, the idea of love cannot be measured in heart-shaped boxes. Least we create a box large enough to encompass every passing morsel of thought that is even slightly flavored with the unfathomable awe that your intelligence inspires. Since sending you a candy store franchise isn't in our budget, may I offer you a small token of my love for you with this too little piece of what cannot be contained? The breath that bursts softly in the air, cool wisps under the streetlight, the sturdy echo of steps, purposeful and moving faster. Anticipation hovers like a lover. And all the night opens with the turn of a corner. The welcome light shines, holding place in time. Bare light bulb, yet beacon to unwind. Spending what remains of feeble restraint, coming down the corridor, walking, not running, to the familiar door, home light surrounds, loving heart found. Heartbeat flexing all day long, sexing, deep future planning while not being too demanding, resist being needy while also being a little greedy. Being an asset, not a liability, but more than an accessory, grimy when we need to be, not afraid to let us see the softer side of vulnerability. Seeing the future in third eye view, closing the shrinking gap between me and you. Hugging back hard with an extra squeeze, being the rock and also peace. Love can be its own confinement. Its enclosure can hold even thought at bay. Its embrace can be as the strongest chains through silk and timber too. Each precious grain of sand as it falls through the ornate hourglass carries with it the bittersweet ticking of our time. On the road to anywhere, angel and devil may care, giving into our inner go. The sun shining on our flow, I and thee blowing with the breeze, intertwined and fitting together, simpatico blend. We are Zen. The best pictures last forever. Get a good look, we're here. Thank you, that's my piece.
Thank you so much, Sylvia. That was beautiful. Thanks for always shouting out the family in here.
You know, I'm going to shout out my fiance, Steven, he's in the audience.
Congratulations. Next up, I would like to invite Brandon Logans up to the mic. Welcome, Brandon.
Can everyone hear me? Yes. All right, cool. And then I'm gonna do a timer for myself because I'm either gonna do 2 or 3. All right, and we begin. The house is made of records, or a body pressed against the stomach of another body. Remember to breathe while looking down. Maintain a visual with the ground. Home might be buried here. A sequence plays out of time. A body in the shape of a mouth. The sky angled into a shape of a body. The gaze now rope, the eye now horizon. When witnessing the extraordinary, recall how to breathe. The lips blued, the house now raining. The rain now a trap door, glass across the mouth. Defined by moisture and a lack of air, the eyes unblinking, a tongue is formed by webs. Blood drains from the frame. The house smiles, or legs swing as if at sea. The body in the shape of fruit, now blue, now nutrition. If I am communion, where will my last breath go? Who do I feed? The kitchenware is the home, the rooms strung together to make a body. Safety is grace. Don't forget the teeth. A flower dreams of a house made with blood. Witness the mouth of the moon. Names hover like a moth's wings unraveling across the lip, or legs raised and open like a breeze. Emerging from the memory, a sequence of necks. A father's love is described as whiplash. Home is a busted lip. A smile remains after the flood. Spider lilies spill from the gums in a state of release. It is spring. Oxygen decides to kiss the wound. The body is buried in blood, or a house made of promise. Don't forget how to breathe. First, cover the mouth. Erase how to shape the following word from memory. help. I rearrange myself, lower my eyes to be knees, replace my tongue with my left hand, catch light with the mirror standing in for my lower back. I lay ice in my hair, practice speaking as a mixture of rivers and tears. I trickle and gurgle and stream. I am trying to remember what it meant to let go of grief. Prone, face parallel to the ground, I attempt to slither, but my belly keeps catching on the rocks. I try to be angle or a fresh wound. I bite at my wrist gingerly. I try to rearrange myself again to not become puncture, but a state of rest. Can I build a home without being in my skin? I bring my calves to my ears. Try listening to my hair. I turn to look for an answer by the lamplight in my chest, or a candle, or moth light. I rearrange myself into a feedback loop. First an echo, then static, now still. A lake face, like arms spread out like toes on tips, like all kinds of falling over. I want to feel thunder against my tailbone. I place copper at my hip, coat my thighs with its orange gold skin. Energy swirls into a singular point, a whirlpool of electromagnetic waves. I spin alone on a dance floor as shades of flickering indigo. And that's all my time, so thank you.
Thank you so much for both of those pieces. That was amazing. Thank you for being here. Next up, I would like to invite Lynn Patterson up to the mic. Welcome, Lynn.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. Can you guys hear me okay? Awesome. Beautiful people. I have two poems for you that I would love to share. The first is paying homage to my grandmother who passed away back in November. I've been thinking about her a lot. And so this poem is called My Grandmother Was a Spitfire. We were all tasked with editing my grandmother's obituary when she rejoined the realm of the stars. We decided to rifle through the hall closet looking for comfort and inspiration. There was a photo of her in a dusty old shoebox, head tossed back at the sun, all gap-toothed smile. It struck me that I had never seen my grandmother as a girl, that she lived a whole life before my own mother became a galaxy. Apparently, she wanted to be a model, but my grandfather's last name made her hopes and dreams nothing more than a byline. She loved to dance. Legend has it she could move the dead with her feet like congas, back when she was all legs. She was a God-fearing woman who never spoke of the Bible. When she cursed you out, you'd swear she caught the Holy Ghost, the way sounds flew off her lips like a baptism of the tongue. She was a phenomenal storyteller. Life wasn't always kind, so she learned to survive by making mold beautiful with her words. We'd all willingly abandon our electronics to gather in silence at her lap, eagerly await her every punchline and clutch on to our bellies. She could captivate an entire room and turn it into a one-woman show. Her children were the loves of her life, and she often had to swallow herself whole to give them things she never had: patience, presence, love. Thus, she learned to choke down the howl and scream into the ether with a bit more tenderness in order for them to thrive. She is survived by 7 out of 9 of her grandchildren and 5 great-grandchildren. My cousins and I swapped stories about that one good time she had to spank us. We all agree, though she loved us fiercely, she could be mean, harsh even. But maybe it was because of all of the things that will remain unwritten, things we'll never know about her. She fought the war on bodies for many generations, just another Black girl fighting for her edges, often accused of being too Black to be too much, too extra, too beautiful for her own good. She was always the loudest person in the room, yet unseen and unheard, even by those who loved her, especially during the most difficult times, before I was even an idea. There will be parts of her erased from the paper we hand out to everyone who turned up to pay her respect. At the end of the service, a woman approaches me, her pamphlet folded into half under her armpit. She says, "My grandmother was a Spitfire." And I cannot help but smile because I have been known to move through the world like a volcanic eruption. My mother always says, I wouldn't walk until I was sure, but once I took my first steps, I moved like wildfire. This particular sentiment of remembrance gives me solace. It is a sign from the sun that my grandmother's embers will always blaze on in my footprints. All right, I think I have time for one more short one. Okay, all right. Briana invited me and told me to come, and I'm so happy I'm here. Briana knows that I am a self-proclaimed love poet. So the poem that I have for you all, the last poem, doesn't necessarily have a name yet, but I'm calling it a manifesto and a manifestation of intimacy for now. I am interested in intimacy, in all its shapes and forms and the path of least resistance. I want love that surrenders itself with ease. I want love that teaches serenity, how to be soft with myself and others. A love that does not need me to be its therapy. A love that reinvigorates when I am listless, a love to hold me still when I am restless. I want the comfort of a knowing silence, witty banter, deep conversations as energizing as Black coffee. I want touch that breathes of synchronicity and kisses that feel like portals to other dimensions. I want love that doesn't hold back or ask me to swallow myself, love that remains hopeful despite. I want love that meets intimidation and fear with curiosity and inspiration. I want to be inspired, and I want love to be my muse. I want love that leaves room for nuance, spaces for us to explore our wholeness, love that yields power so that I am always encouraged to find fulfillment first within myself. I do not want love that conquers all because I do not believe that love is about conquering. I believe that love is about not shying away from the hard work of forgiveness, and I want love that sees forgiveness as new opportunities to experience abundance and novelty. I am tired of chasing love that feels like despair and disrepair. I am tired of fighting for love that feels like war. I want love that feels like magic. I want love that feels like magic. I want love that feels like magic. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much, Lynn. Every time I hear your poems, they just feel so comforting. So shout out to you for all your incredible work. Next up, I would like to invite Dior J. Stevens up to the mic. Welcome.
Thank you, Nia. Thank you, Briana, for inviting me, and thanks everyone for the work tonight. It's brilliant from everyone. I'm gonna read 3 pieces from y'all from my forthcoming debut, Cruel Cruel, coming out next month with Nightboat Books. This first one is Interlude Alpha. light reflecting by the orange moon of my last heart. Tell me how the wind chimes from 6 miles down the pass. Feeling the same song sung overtime, 6 years running, 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 Apollo landing in this Saturn return. A sweet picking of scabs, a bright towel brushed over 9-inch knife wounds, reflecting strands of feminine joy passed down the 3-line. Tell me how nectarful the forward 6s march. Tell me the prize has upped its elemental till the marble tumbles and the moon sinks, till the past passes, till then, till God, till Willie, till Murray, till all the cups have been spilled. This next one is UIP 10, which stands for Untitled Yellow Pages 10. To dream past the past of shackled men in liberation lost, to dream in black neon, looking back long ago, wearing visors for vision scars, seeing the unseen and undocumented, loosening lassos on ancestry like unraveled fruit by the foot, veins protruding up and out of Aberdeen skin, glistening Ivory Coast spirit. To think not of shackles broken, but of a time before, rewriting history to see their self in it. A land before time, or a time before land, or property, or gazes. Flowing into futures of Black uprising and bloodbath cherry streets. To see a future with violence, restorative, feigning no outline of peace. Singing, we shall overcome with automatics tucked in arm, Black fists raised, to not see any more fourths, nan more Olumbuses, just me and Huey and Miss Davis shooting the shit after shooting some. Seeing a new type of first contact, one devoid of erasure, one rife with life spittle, genuflect and reconnected to a vision most high, inshallah, laying purple reefs royal, cross unshackled, exalted ankles, still hullabaloos swaying up like lost ballots, to sow the reaping and taste moss on your fingertips, sprinkling uncertainty with generosity and pinging onyx over alabaster. Take 3 steps to your left and grab everyone into the fold. Stolen truths cost a smooth $3.99 when your time is up. Sitting honest with self, slowly, my rue ever burning. Tell me sweetness on the solstice. Summer begat, spring begat, winter begat. I know of no new beginnings. Rudimentary in hope. Palm leaves cover my eyes from centuries of dismay. Is this hearkening in my soul the call that I've been waiting for? One more chance for sanctity? Awash in bacon grease and crystallized syrups of dangerous beauty, unleashed into highline sierras, whisked flat with bounteous mercy. This last one I got for y'all, thank you everybody, is UIP 12. This is the last poem in the book, so I'm excited to share this. Want to write in this gold while it lasts. See, where I live, my very breath is my damnation. Want to sit in this gold and talk a while to the she we all believe should be. Want to ignore your texts and snag bite double time on raw lip. Want to wear scandalous skivvies for an audience of one. Want to see Floyd breathing and don't want to talk about it. Want to stop feeling white gaze. Want to be religionless, since no God we know of makes sense of this. Want to slide blocks open with my pinky nail, surprise bamboo men with my ladylike shrine of pulled split ends, and still don't want to talk about it. Want to give every Black body a medal and a collection of plastic bags from under the sink you'll need them. Want to give respite, yet instead, biting raw lips to mimic violence. Stomping on revenge's pudgy toes is the only cleansing I know. Want to see smooth skies lined. Want to see twist become shout. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. Your poetry is incredible, and it's such a treat getting to hear it. So thank you for sharing. I am now going to read a poem and then get out the way and introduce our incredible feature for today. So this is a poem I've shared in this space, but I'm in the mood for it right now. It's in tribute to one of our incredible Black writer legacy, and that would be Toni Morrison. And so this is In the Day Diamonds Are in the Water. The only time the ocean cut me, I bled stories. They said, what a beautiful yet terrifying thing it is to be free. They said, we have traveled years to bring you our names. We knew you'd forget them, or worse, never recognize them in the first place. They said, remember me, unfold your tongue, gather in your hand all the cities your foremothers birthed freedom in, scatter milkweed seeds in the wind and call us home. So waterlogged and weary, I bandage my wounds with diamonds and rise from sea foam memory, homebound. I've never been far from the page. How else to learn what moonlight looks like through blue-eyed promises? Oh, but to be Sonia, to be Toni, to be wind in a cotton field scattering marigolds. I wish I knew Arkansas clouds like I do the lines on a palm, like I do the recipe for forgiveness. Joy is memory in the refrain, magic too hopeful to stay hidden. See, the trick to befriending stories is listening after all. Yet sometimes belonging cannot be traced by tide lines or railroads carved out of the night sky, but rather dog-eared pages and overdue book finds. See, having a library to owe things to makes one at home, right? So we write, we sing, we rename our story legacy before they claim we were never here in the first place. Find us on the page. As she said, this is the first battlefield we play on. Here our words dance, and so we too leap into blissful surrender. And one day we will fly, and one day we will fly. Thank you. And with that, it is now my honor to introduce our featured poet for this evening, Briana Grogan, who is a Black queer femme from Southern California. Her poetry found form in San Francisco, where they currently live and work as a bookstore clerk. She received her MFA in poetry from Mills College, and their writing expresses the silence and grief and rejoice and healing. She is the guest poetry editor for Foglifter Journal, Volume 8.1, and was a 2021 finalist for the Button Poetry Chapbook Contest. And their work can be found in Foglifter Journal, the Anna, and is upcoming in When We Exhale and Obsidian, Literature and Arts from the African Diaspora. Welcome, Briana.
No, thank you, Nia. Thanks everyone for the love I can see to the chat. It's very, very warming. Happy Black History Month, first and foremost. And yeah, it's such an honor to be here with y'all today. I had first heard about this open mic because one of my friends, MJ Jones, actually was headlining, and I remember I really admired their work, and I felt like it was something so unattainable for me to be here. So it really is such an honor. And the only thing I will say is that my cat has the zoomies right now, so he's kind of like doing a lot. So if you hear him at any point, just, try to stay with me. Okay. So I'm going to be reading from two projects. The first one I'll be reading like a pretty big chunk from, and it's titled On Survival, and it explores the complications that came with the prolonged death of my mom. Her name was Clamaria. And so I definitely invite you to take breaths wherever feels fit for you, as I'll be doing the same on my end. Belly-filled hot Cheetos, I slept in the only ghetto that was Culver City. I searched for things here. My Tweety Bird jelly sandals, a balance slipped on the 5th step from the bottom. My second dog, car strolled and rolled over his back leg by 10. It was my mother. We moved because some things can never be found. And by 10, I'd considered better ways to lose a Black mother, from old age or maybe even death on impact. My mother could have died on January 8th, 2006, but we couldn't let her die until July 17th, 2013. At 10, I didn't realize I'd asked my mother to stay and suffer for me again. Despite the 10 centimeters dilated, the contractions, the pushing with no epidural, I asked her to stretch herself upon a hospital bed again. This time, not for 20 hours, but for 7 years. And by 17, I'd considered better ways to end my own mother's life, but there wasn't one. Just a trembled lip and a conscience. Everyone was silent, and as the youngest in the family, I broke it. Well, I think we should take her off of life support. It should be noted that I don't remember if this is exactly what I said, but I remember feeling like I regretted it. At 26, sometimes I choose to lie on my back and I think about my mother and how hers was not a choice. And I regret that too, that the world gave her no choice and I took that from her too. I regret taking my own mother's life, but the point of this poem is that I know she wanted me to. Okay. Sorry, that one always gets me. All right. So this next piece that I'm going to be reading is inspired by a poet. Her name's Tina Chang. She's Brooklyn-based, and she has a collection of poetry titled Hybrida. And one of the poems there, or in that collection, really inspired me. So this is after Tina Chang. I come from an off-white stove that crumbled under crackle, a matriarch's heirloom, tarnished hands that buttered pans and browned bacon before salting cabbage, a blistered lip and an elbowless table, a dirty from TV dinner microwave. I come from cotton-lined latex gloves that tethered kids to step stools and soap suds. I come from southern whoopings that purpled thighs, welts that traverse ancestors from field to my mother's house. I come from hunchbacks and ham hocks, a Bible verse next to Jesus on the cross, a penny in a collection basket. I come from the low hums in a church pew, a voice encouraged by stained glass. I come from a mother with fair skin, from a father she didn't know, an envy that loomed under a dim-lit living room. I come from knowing no life but one with my father, his English a second language, my Spanish a lost one. I come from Papa's patterns, the phase before he found another woman who'd give him a son. I come from the narrow walkways in a dark garage, an avid customer of Banker's Box. I come from bunny ears and broken sewing machines, a soaked pillow and a tummy ache. I come from a pair of gold weight jeans, a widow's peak, a jagged tooth mark and a half-eaten apple. I come from tiptoes and sudden sorrow. I come from run-on sentences and red ink. I come from hot combs and crimped braids. I come from LG too. Okay. I forgot to preface as well that most of my poems don't have titles. So I'm just probably going to be like stopping and breathing in between. Legend says Clamaria chose to be sober. After growing up with a mother who couldn't mother without living within walking distance of a liquor store, she refused to belly her wounds in a glass. She was the fairest in her family, cast cold and Creole, different daddy from her younger sister, yet never a good man around. Had she not distanced herself from walls that peeled a mother's muse, she may have wound up vodka veined, sob stumbled, and tender tempered like I did. To abide by the rules of the Black woman is to survive. After 7 years strung to mechanics, my mother dared to disconnect and survive for 17 days longer. Despite the countdown, I'd imagine she remembered what it felt like to mount her motorcycle, gliding across hilltops and valleys, leather matching pavement, the closest she felt with God. To pride me, a Black woman, I'd have to reinvent myself. More femme bot, less they them, more resilient, less yes daddy. Despite the cruelty, I'd imagine she forgave me for awaiting her magic. Leg locked, relaxer buzzed, fingers crunched. There was no miracle in making her stay, so why would we both resist? To pride us Black femmes is to believe we'd be the revolution that saved each other. And sometimes I imagine my mother's cadaver still lined with crumbs, a reminder that she died with things still left to do. Black woman is not synonymous with Black femme, and I can't give myself permission to disidentify my mother from straight Black womanhood when that's why she lived and how she died. So I have to separate us. I have to mark this union as fantasy. I have to admit I'm nothing like my mother wanted me to be, and sometimes I like to think she was buried with my mother. The gore of a girl body I was born into. The mortician would lace my twists with tulips, seal my coffin shut with soil, a closed casket service with no guests, no will to say goodbye. Only unremembered, she slipped away in silence. Let me take a drink of water. Okay. Oh my gosh, everyone's comments are so sweet. Okay. I died once on August 1st, 2015. I was hungover. I hadn't eaten enough. I drank again. I took the Molly. I had the seizure. I woke up in the hospital. My older sister cried bedside again. And I hate that there aren't many words to explain that kind of guilt other than that of plain guilt. But I guess I hate a lot of things, like the fact that after Molly last year was the first I actually retained language the same way I used to. Or after Molly, I did coke and ketamine and found no reclamation at the end of it. Just a reminder that I got closer to death again. And that might be the closest bond I've ever shared with my own mother. I was born on Mother's Day, May 12th, 1996 at 2:43 p.m. You were my favorite gift, she'd say. Call it destiny or even irony, but maybe that's why being called my mother's daughter doesn't register as dysphoria, because I wouldn't dare take that away from her. Or maybe I should say, I wouldn't dare take that away from me. A professor told me once that the best poets become obsessed with their subjects, and it seems my entire life has been one drawn-out obsession to bond with my own mother. They say dogs eat shit to get attention of their owner, and maybe that's why I took that Molly. Maybe that's why I had that seizure. Or maybe I was destined to have something to write about. Okay. So I'm gonna switch up the tone a little bit. So this poem does actually have a title. It's titled Miss Getty, and it was published in Foglifter Journal. And yeah, I'm gonna read this one. I saw a tweet recently that said, "Who is Getty and why she own all the images?" When you Google the word chlamydia, click on images. In the second row to the far right, you'll find one photo of my mother, the only one that lives on the internet, and it belongs to Getty. The caption reads, "Briana Grogan of Los Angeles can't control her joy at having her lottery number picked at Santa Monica Toy Store Friday for opportunity to purchase Elmo for her 6-month-old daughter, Briana." There she is, written into the archives of Los Angeles Times, but I'd have to pay at least $175 to license it. And when you drag the image into Google search engine, the possible related search suggests happy. But I suppose I'm a mixed bag, equal parts offended and honored, mainly because I can't stop thinking about the 2021 Met Gala, how the rich willingly dressed to match the American fashion theme, how they were happy, how they couldn't control their joy, how they were given this opportunity while Ella Dior was detained and misgendered in the same breath as mutual aid posts in their lilac mini dress. And all that made it to our main feeds were images of celebrities on cream-colored steps and Miss Getty's logo. Okay. When I want to remember what my mother sounded like, I find myself in a church pew, scraping the bottom of my purse as a wicker basket floats. I feel my mouth stretched for prayer. My pastor ain't give no sermon without keeping us half hour past. I see lyrics to songs I been knew. My two-step pass down the aisle, one hand on the crick of thy neighbor's back, other raised to glory. This black is taught and toffee. This God, he'd have me sing my way home. This God, he'll dress me in Bible verses. This God, my God, knows our worship ain't just on Sunday. Okay, so I'm going to be reading from the other project. So, I mean, this poem that I'm about to read, I didn't write while I was at this residency, but at the end of last year, I was at a residency down in Southern California called Art House San Clemente. And I was down there for 2 months, and it really transformed my artistry and really helped me think a lot more about the things that I really want to write about. And so I'm going to be reading those newer poems. January 22nd, 2022, in a shoebox apartment in the Mission. He buzzed me in, made me walk up 3 flights of stairs, catch my breath before knocking on the door. I only swipe on men when I'm looking for power. The first breakthrough I had with my Black therapist was admitting the closest I feel to power as when a white person is moaning my name, but I thought I'd done the work until somehow another white they them dumped me, and somehow I ended up in the Mission, walking up 3 flights of stairs, catching my breath in some Ukrainian man's bed. And that's the funny thing about white people. While they anchor me to power, they always find a way to remind me that it's temporary. When my white ex asked me if they were the bad guy in my story, I felt the way a foot scrub at the nail salon does. How it's a bath turned lukewarm, a scrape masked as a tickle, how essential oil covers callous gloves, a barrier for worn bone, a plissage wrote my mother into smoke. Her body stitched to bloodshed, but despite folk tales and memoirs, I burned my hand, reaching for the same bullet, soot marbled ash, just so my white ex could ask me if they were the bad guy in my story and I could face my own genocide. I counted my luck under vinyled ceilings. Sage green acrylics caressed by a blunt are welding happened after 8 p.m. on nights not stone sobered by a genius bar. I regret not bringing my tiger balm and not concentrating on the permanence of the pre-existing. You offered me a bite on a bed of white rice, and every time I chose your grandmother's carpet, I have ground these herbs before, left peach with no pit, and after proving I am 1 hit shy of a crack, why wouldn't you break me? New visions distort us. Quiche Herman does too. I owe not 1 apology, but 2 to my tender head and pubic bone. Invite the burrowers that slain me, that wrung out my shadow, plucked my last petal, and when my beached body washes up, half dead and unfinished, kill every white bitch that comes back for more. Holding space for wintered spirits and Scotch tongues is getting old. Feet perched cowhide, mouth filled salt. My skin is the accessory in this room and every one I walk into. Ick laced ice, I'm the one who needs you to be soft, who needs time to untether, who needs no more guilt. Kill me not to frame, but to stain my blood to white countertop, mold me new, tan me mine. And if my makeup is already on your shoulder, what makes you think Black femmes won't come back to haunt you? Okay, this is my last piece. Living on La Ventana made me realize I am the absence of home. I am the sand you track from shore to doormat, the to-dos pushed off until tomorrow. My therapist just shared her screen again to show me the feelings wheel again, but I'm still intellectualizing. Pisces moon aside, I'm still intellectualizing how I think it felt after my 3rd breakup this year, instead of just saying how it made me somewhat suicidal. She knows I'm dark though, right? Skinned, sided, humored, hold. I'm waiting for the moment the ocean notices me beyond something to swallow. They say dolphins are attracted to magnets, and my therapist told me if she sits by a body of water, a fin will appear. And I just saw one out back, binoculars clarifying blue. And if the pendulum keeps swinging, eventually, I know they'll find me alluring too. Thank y'all so much. Thank you so much.
Rush, thank you so much. I'm so in awe of your writing, the delivery of your writing, your vulnerability. Thank you for putting all of your words out there, for taking us on a journey with your poetry. just the cadence of your work is so moving. So thank you. Just can't express enough gratitude for you sharing space with us in this way. And before we transition to our second half, I want to give this opportunity, if you have any other either readings or other ways people can support and show up for you, either feel free to drop them in the chat, or if you want to verbally share some things or plug some things, I would love to give that space.
Thank you. That's something I've never been offered before formally. I do have a website. I'll just drop it in the chat, and then I have an Instagram, so I will just do that. But I just wanted to verbally say thank you for offering that space to me. Amazing.
Thank you so much. All righty, so we're going to move on to our second half of open mic readers, and I would like to invite up Zakia G.E.K. Part to start us off for the second half.
Good evening.
Hi there.
So good to be here. How are you, Nia?
Good to see you.
Thank you. So I really enjoyed the first half of everyone's poem. And I know the second half is going to be great. And Briana, I just loved your poetry, and especially about your mom. Yeah, it brought me memories of my mom. Thank you. So I have one poem, and it's a long one. So it's entitled The Drum Beat. Listen for the drum beat. Listen for the drum beat. Can you hear the drum? Can you hear the drum? I hear the drum beat. Drumming, 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 drumming. The elders say the drum beat mimics our heartbeat, for it is the lifeline of our existence. Without our heartbeat, we cannot continue to live. Without the drum beat, we forfeit to give to each other the legacy of our ancestors. They taught us to always stay close to the drum beat, the drum beat, the drum beat. It is important that we continue to love, honor, respect, and cherish our rich heritage, because Africa is the cradle of all civilization. We come from a noble people who were kings and queens, mathematicians, navigators, engineers, architects, herbal healers, artists, astrologers, astronomers, all swaying to the rhythmic pulse of our cultural identity. The entire continent of Africa communicates through the drum beat, the drum beat, the drum beat. Whether from north, south, east, or west of the motherland, the drum beat in Ghana, Nigeria, Senegal, West Africa speaks of the Ashanti, Mandingo, and Yoruba nations, who are known for their courage as warriors while hunting for food or protecting the village. They are also historically known for their cowrie shells, kente cloth, mud cloth, the djembe and doom drums. The Kikuyu, Maasai, and Watusi beats the drum in Tanzania, Kenya, and Uganda, East Africa, and are known for their royal wood carvings, which represent the family tree of life. Much of the gold and diamonds we love to wear come from the rich earth of South Africa, where the Zulu, Bushmen, and Hottentot nations beat the drum and own the land of Mozambique, Zimbabwe, and Botswana. Spirituality has always been the thread that has woven African people together. The Kemetic nation created during ancient times a system of 42 Kemetic commandments known as the principles of MoAD. North African countries like Mali, Algeria, and Egypt beat the drum and built the pyramids. They also contributed renowned historical figures like King Tutankhamun, Cleopatra, Nefertiti, and Imhotep from the Kemetic and Bantu nations. Our rich heritage extends globally. You can hear the drum beat resounding from Mother Africa to the Caribbean, South America, North America, Asia, Australia, and Europe. So listen for the drum beat. Listen for the drum beat. Can you hear the drum? Can you hear the drum? I hear the drum beat. Drumming, 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 drumming. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Zakia, for sharing that poem and just for the musicality of it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next up, I would like to invite Raymond Nat Turner up to the mic. Welcome, Raymond.
Oh, hi, Nia, and everyone. I wanted to, before I jump in, I want to say I really loved Briana's work. I got a double joy out of it because we have a daughter named Briana. She spells hers with a Y though, and she is also a curly girl too. So love the work, love the visual and the energy. So thank you so much, Sister Love. And I want to see if I can squeeze two pieces in of relatively, one's short and one's medium, I think. So I'm going to try. The first is for Tyree Nichols. And this is, some of you may know what the Tonton Macoute is. The Tonton Macoute was a terrorist force that was under the direction of the dictator of Haiti by the name of Papa Doc or Francois Duvalier. They, killed Black people, tortured them, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, this is called Tennessee's Tonton Macoute, or Rotten Orchard called Capitalist State Machine. The epigraph: hurt people, unquote. Activist Anonymous. White elephant trunk, breathing tube snaking from busted blue, black Botox lips, snaking from swollen, battered, bloody face, snaking from a stop, ending errands and dreams. Presto, another mother's atmospheric river of tears. Black magic melanin, body cameras training on Tennessee's Tonton Macoute. Unconscious streams of raw sewage spurting from blue donut holes under color of law. Plantation medicine men overdosing boot, fist, shock, club, chemical cures for traffic stop for their suspects. Police pinata, new identity. Black magic melanin, body cameras, training on Tennessee's Tonton Macoute. Thank you for your Confederate service. Thank you for your apartheid state vitamin S fuel skill sets, for your toxic Memphis masculinity. And thank you for your service at a Kabul, Bagram, Baghdad, Port-au-Prince, stop. Black magic melanin body cameras training on Tennessee's Tonton Macoute. Bullwhip behavior, mirroring Twin Cities, Big Apple, City of Angels, Windy City, City of Brotherly Love, beatdown zones, Cop City battlefields where chokeholds, neo-teens, and improvised firing squads lurk, waging war of terror. Sweeping tents, tarps, cardboard mattresses into hungry jaws of garbage trucks, grinding human rights into gunpowder. Black magic melanin body cameras training on Tennessee's Tonton Macoute. Skin folks playing basketball, pledging Greek, praying to the same God, and unwrapping riddles from fantasy called community control of wild boars. And secondly, along that same road, this is called defunding the people. Our, in air quotes, congressmen and mayors obey multi-billionaires. Cops are their henchmen. Who wakes up, toasty warm bed, calls in sick to $30 an hour job, rolls out of rent control department, smashes car windows, steals catalytic converters, robs bodegas on the side? Who? What strikebreakers pose as unionists, work overtime as pickpockets, stealing 40% from fat wallets of handcuffed cities? What guardians of homelessness brutalize Big Apple unhoused, sacrifice citizens to sun gods of prophets, city of angels ruled by devils, and practice Windy City wickedness against activists? What freedom of assembly suppressors moonlight as tiki torch men, masquerading as wild boars with badges? What apartheid state trained thugs keep Black mayors on the light foot, curled in Papa Cop posture, taking the bass out their voices? Whose essential work elicits these words, quote, warning to our listeners and viewers, the following footage contains graphic images of violence. Who? Flight attendants? Who? Nurses? Who? Dentists? Who? Optometrists? Who? Who in Sweden slaughters 1,000 a year and keeps working? Who in New Zealand butchers 1,100 annually and isn't stopped? What cutthroats call clubber, choker, gloves, foot doctor earn overtime in Okinawa, testa-line on tin-ringing workers and whacking dogs for fun? What assassins' live rounds equal dead citizens celebrated by drunken, bent badge bar rituals in Belize? Merci beaucoup.
Thank you so much, Raymond, for your poetry as always. It's wonderful to hear your voice.
Thank you. Thank you for all the work you guys do. And once again, big ups to Briana.
Thank you. Next up, I would like to invite Ty Stokes up to the mic. Welcome.
Hello?
Hi there.
All right. All right, this first one's called Meet Me at the Wilds. Meet me at the wilds, where my dreams of love for you run untamed. Come to a wondrous of a place where only your heart can hold its reins. Meet me where your exhales are like firestorms to my soul, where your every breath burns away the density of my forest, leaving me naked and raw, yet still intoxicated with your flames. Scarred, yet not afraid, for in the end I know that my sacrifice to you will give me brand new life again. Meet me in that giddy, childlike place where moments of blush float anxiously between our lips, where the sharing of your inhales are the only thing that teach me how to live. How often do I come here, you ask? Oh, my dear love, don't you know? I've happened to come only once upon this place, and I have never left. The next one is a little long, but it's called Sacrifices. And I wrote this one about a few months ago, just trying to learn to let go and stand up for myself too, of course. Sacrifices. I cannot keep standing with you, waiting with you, crawling with you, trying with you, and dying with you, while you continue to throw stones at the pillars of my strength, while you continue to hurl your crumbled burdens deep into my soul, while you continue to stick your daggers dipped with venom deep into the roots of my spirit. For it is hard enough for me to pick up your broken pieces, all the while trying to hold on to my own. But you see, you've been too busy ripping me apart, piece by piece. You've been too busy tearing me apart, piece by piece, shredding me apart, piece by piece. You've been too busy killing me, destroying me, diminishing me and my inner peace, in order for you to see what I have unselfishly placed underneath your feeble feet, just so you could be able to stand high amongst the stars. So forgive me as I ask of you. Forgive me as I demand of you. And as a matter of fact, do not forgive me at all, as I scream to you, step down off of my now dreamless dreams, so they may finally run free and wild, never to be tamed again. Step off of my now hopeless hopes, so they may feel the wonder and beauty of the unseen horizons again. Step off of my now broken wings, so they may heal and proudly unfurl and caress the skies again. Step down off of my sacrifices, for my brokenness shall no longer be the gifts that you refuse to see. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing both of those poems. It was beautiful, and thank you for your vulnerability as well.
Thank you. Much appreciated.
Next up, I would like to invite Angelica Ricciardo. Welcome up to the mic.
Thank you. This first poem is called Budding. Still bagged in plastic, buried in your trunk and yet to bloom, you sheepishly shove into my embrace a dozen white tulips. For 2 weeks, I watch them flower, needing no more than tap water, hints of sun, and the sound of my voice lilting when you call. When you come, your legs crowd, under my table and splay, the petals falling into eager piles. This one is called Angel by the Sea Gates. Angel by the sea gates drapes me on her heated table, spellbinding me in eucalyptus. She puts my eyes on the counter, all boarding announcements drifting to forgotten corners of my amygdala. Her thumbs dissolve knotted stones until I'm a waterfall, nutrients and oxygen swimming upstream to my scapulas so I can hold this head of poems high again. Tugging at my wingspan, she spins magic on my sternum, tucks strength into spine. This is the gift of flight before a flight. Before I'm seated in the sky, a plane's engine is checked, my hips opened. She reads me in the dark in a braille of furrowed brows, a score of flinches and inhaled gasps. What she finds, I know she'll hold, release. I speak blessings and bills into her hands before I levitate home into a lighter being. And this one is called Post-Op Grocery Run after having a surgery. I just got out of the hospital and I need to feel the dimples on an orange. I hold my incisions in the coffee aisle, looking for any semblance of a self in single origin beans, their earthy smell, the opposite of a PACU. I have 15 oxycodone minutes to maze through to the bread. The loaves have air pockets, the size of the vengeful cyst that ripped me into 800 suctioned milliliters. Teetering with my tote on the brink of transfusion, I can't look at the liters of Coke on the way out. And this last one is called What a Writer Is. In the gray house with the yellow door, the white women with white hair write fiction and have professor husbands. The brown girls smoke cigarettes in the back, tell of the islands, both theirs and not, a place the other women couldn't find on a map. Many people write because they can, because they see a story in another person's life. And some have to write to make sense of their life. We drive around talking about what we left and what we were before the poetry came, or what we were calling it before we knew the word. Thank you.
Thank you so much for all of those poems and the range of topics and experiences you've brought. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, I would like to invite Gracia Mwamba up to the mic. Welcome.
Thank you. And thank you to everyone who read. My heart is so full. I'm gonna read two poems. First one, a portrait of Lubumbashi from Congo. Thesis, soul ascent attempt at a sidewalk. A missionary brings Jesus on a coltan-rich phone. Everyone's broke, but no one's poor enough to die. A rat boards a rocket that erupts in the name of science. A cardboard box can sing in the right hands. There's too much rain for anything to be permanent. The sun is Lubumbashi's last defensive architect. Cities don't cry when it rains. They cry through the blood of children. Ask why all this foreign aid can't fix the smile off a skull. Ask why the most violent killer in DRC is a child. All Congolese overseas got beef with some white man. I'm no different. I'm not really mad, I'm just broke. My skin still shrinks when I see a dog pet a child's survival. In a city this big, family is whoever remembers you smiling. A memory is dangerous when left in a cardboard box. A cardboard box is a machete that hasn't grown up yet. A cardboard box is a home. A city of cardboard boxes is a graveyard. And last one, the etymology of names. Before democracy, there was a river, single stream. Before the nomad fish frenzy, before deer tongues, before the land split and ruptured and wept, before the river sought its name and found it bleeding, not unlike a mangosteen, black and red yet white. Before the swallow, red too, learned to hollow its beak along a river that cannot fight back or with or against, the river suffered the fate all bodies of liquid must, to be sorted and named and used. 2. The definition of stubbornness is a Congolese mother, Liputa securing her young death grip across her heart as she bargains a street vendor bankrupt, loud eyes trained on all things fufu in potential. Her weary talons grip with enough force to hold a splitting world, collapsing sun, decaying knees, she unravels her stance, Zaire, a gluttonous Congo, a country of oblique heads, a belly everyone has robbed at least once. 3. My name is after God, a warning sharper than the first footfalls of men who vowed their God, concealed between hilt and blade, was singing over them. Their pockets of psalms faded under the equator's congealed sun, just as those men chose a pet name for a country. My mother chose a name that daggers my tongue, gills my arms, webs my feet, that in the naming of our river, I may breathe and swim and hunt. Thank you.
Wow, that poetry was just incredible. And I felt like I couldn't type fast enough the lines that were standing out to me. So thank you. Next up, I would like to invite Avacha up to the mic. Welcome, Avacha.
Hi, Dios. You guys are awesome. That's all I can say. Thank you so much, everyone from the feature, from each and every one of you. And I'm going to put in the chat when I finish not only my book, but we have a multilingual poetry series that several people that you heard here tonight and will hear have come to, and hopefully you'll join us. But anyway, I've got two, one very short, one followed by another. This is called Moonlight in Memphis. There was very little light in the room, and we had talked a very, very, very long time, maybe too long, before your mouth touched my nervous breast, and somehow all our clothes fell to the floor, and we fell across the bed. Then, just before our tongues started, roach fell from the ceiling. He landed somewhere right between your belly and my thigh, and as he marched across the pillow of our murdered passions, we cursed and stumbled and found our unwanted clothing. And I wondered if bugs had old ladies, and if they spent their evening making love in the very same bed they chased us out of. And I wondered if roaches ever worried about being interrupted by people as we said our frustrated goodbye. I know nobody else has ever had that lovely experience. The roach is definitely an equal opportunity vermin. This last one is written for one of my dearest, famous heroes, Sugar Pie DeSanto. Some of you may have seen her, and if you haven't, you've done yourself a great disservice. This is called Blue Thunder, which is the nickname I gave her. Blue Thunder, inspired by Umpalaya Balinton, aka Sugar Pie DeSanto, in honor of Black History Month. The very first time I saw the phenomenon we call Sugar Pie DeSanto, she took my breath away and I was hooked. The amazing Umpalaya Balinton, singer, composer, dancer, doing acrobatic flips at 66 and act hell no. This little woman was a presence without precedent. And I was completely under her spell, caught in the strength of her magic, didn't know how to describe what I'd just seen and heard. Felt like I'd been hit by some kind of supernatural force. She was an indescribable power. Like I say, she felt like a musical earthquake. I called her Blue Thunder because there was no other way to describe her. And I wasn't the first and only one hypnotized by her talents. Upon seeing her show-stopping performance at a talent show, the legendary Johnny Otis immediately signed her, recorded with her, gave her the stage name Little Miss Sugar Pie. But she was more than that. New York-born, San Francisco-grown, Umpalaya Masema Balinton, a small Afro-Filipina powerhouse, not quite 5 feet tall, but sister was tornado strong. And the newly renamed Sugar Pie DeSanto was a fierce, fearless, creative being, impossible to ignore. She was Blue Thunder. A fiery wild child from a musical family that radiated the perfect blend of Tagalog with collard greens. Girl was electrifying as a bolt of lightning. Then as a teenager, little Pelaya met Etta James, who was brought into and lived in the Ballinton home like family. It was a time when the Fillmore was on fire, a time when these two wild girls found their way into every talent show in the Mo and made a way to show their stuff on every single stage in every club they could lie their way into. That is, until Pelaya's furious father would find her and very loudly take her home. But even the humiliation of those very public tongue lashings couldn't stop her. Girl was like an express train that had lost its brake, and she knew that she could not stop. Sugar Pie appeared on more than 20 times at New York's Apollo Theater, and it was at the Apollo that she was spotted by the great James Brown. And like me, he was hooked. She toured with him and became his opening act for the next 2 years. Her prowess as a performer and composer got a contract with Chess Records and made her their highest paid and most productive writer at the time. Sugar Pie has more than 100 compositions to her credit, some of which have been recorded by Fontella Bass, Little Milton, The Whispers, Millie Riperton, The Dells, Jesse James, and many more, as well as recording 2 historic records with Etta James, one of which was featured in the award-winning movie, The Hurricane. A blues queen who is a blues queen who's as comfortable with rhythm and blues and jazz as she is with the bluest of blues. Some know her by all the awards she's won or the songs she's sung. Some know her by the comedy of her words, her acrobatic stage presence. Some know her as Upalaya Masadona, Balenton, or Sugar Pie de Santo. I know her as an 85-year-old phenomena, a seriously brilliant and committed artist, forever running loose, chasing the blues, and I still call her Blue Thunder. Thanks for listening to my words. I'll put my book in the chat and our poetry series and a couple of CDs I'm on. Please join us. Thank you.
Thank you, Avacha. Your poetry is wonderful as always, and thank you for sharing the links and inviting the community. Thank you. Now, last but certainly not least, I would like to invite up Andrea Jacobo up to the mic. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm always really excited to be here in this space, and every single poet just like brought it and fire. And I really appreciate some of the love to Tiny Reed Nichols. I'm in Memphis, Tennessee, and I really felt those poems. I have a few very small poems, and I'm gonna read them in like sequence. Fire breathing does not require a spark or a match. It's when the diaphragm and the tongue meet with all the kinetic energy of your spirit, el que tú tienes por ahí, and it's been harboring, reminiscing, a rhythmic dissonance that illuminated the power of my breath. Belief has been sitting in the chambers of my heart, waiting for my hippocampus to send the signal to my fighting spirit. I wonder if I had the same sharp tongue as my mother and sisters, I would live up to the spicy Dominicanness fetishized by Mami, todo eso es tuyo, by the men who don't want to love me for me, and even the women too. Believe in my power and strength of my breath. I've discovered my power by losing my breath. The same one, the last one, that was taken by my loving pets that have seen me to grow into the 30-year-old frame. Losing your babies within 9 weeks of each other makes you question the power of your breath, or even why you're still existing in this realm. Why do I have freedom to roam? Why? It makes me think of how much distance my breath can carry over, like the final pages of your notebook that you've been harboring, holding, reminiscing 3 years to date. That's the first piece. Thank you. The next one, this was the day after I lost my pets within 9 weeks of each other. Like one was for 12 years, another one from 7 years. And I love them very much. They were my babies. Morning baby blues, pink kissed ribbons, music to your ears, nurtured by your compromise, clouds apart, Yemaya, gift your rays of sunshine, for the leaves falling in crimson. You were mine. Why did you leave me here, mi amor? Romance in great scale, romance you've heard in the millions of vibrations, trust in hand, your way down back, envy of Aries, you are always the main attraction, decipher the pattern that has been laid, sacrifice our partnership till death do us part, communication in our code will travel the gates of heaven, through the rainbow bridge, into the sacred garden, waiting for your love to sit by and wait. Thank you. Thank you so much. The very last piece, very last micropoem. When a vinyl is made, the ridges are filled with vibrations that make love with noise. Project the waves of my heart when you're near, like el ola, like una ola in Boca Chica, to find the crystal blue waters in la onda of your smile. Tamboras playing like tambourines, la guiras, la cha-cha-cha of your voice. And I came to dance una bachata in tu sombra, in your shadows, in your shadows. I've developed all the candles of your iris you've captured. If only music can be like una radiografía, you can see my heart sings the note of your being. Music, you have saved my life, like the day I heard jazz in my mother's womb. The melody followed me through the Louis Armstrong teeth, into his trumpet's hand, into the clap clap of the guaguancó of my first love. So the scars of my tried love. Oh, music, can you vibe with my legs, love? Rhythm, the lines, music, I'm here for you, fighting for what's true and right. Thank you so much. It's been such a beautiful evening. I appreciate you all. Have a beautiful evening.
Thank you so much, Andrea. It's always a pleasure to hear your words, sending so much love to you. It's always good to see you. I want to thank all of our readers this evening. This has been such a full event. I literally say this every single time, but my heart is full and you all have brought me so much life. Thank you, Briana, for the incredible feature. Such a treat to get to hear your poetry. And I want to share that this is an ongoing series, so I invite you all to keep coming back. We'll be meeting again virtually next month on March 16th. And we have the wonderful poet Fahima Ife, who will be our feature. So please tune in. You can check out more information at moadsf.org, which is our website. And you can sign up to read if you want to get back on the mic next month. We also have some other in-person programs happening throughout the rest of this month. If you are local to the Bay Area, next Thursday, the 23rd, we will be celebrating the incredible anthology Black Fire This Time, which is, again, celebrating the legacy of the Black arts movement. Many of the poets in this virtual room will be actually reading next week. So please come out if you're in the Bay Area, show some love to the amazing poets. And then the last thing I want to share, because here we are in poetry community, MoAD is currently accepting applications for our Poets in Residence program. They'll be open through March 13th of next month. So I invite you, if you're interested in applying, or maybe you know folks who might be interested in applying, please check out our website for more information. Elizabeth has just shared details about that. It's a paid 4-month residency this fall, ideally for folks located in the Bay Area. So please check out our website again for more information. We also would love to keep engaging with all of you in any way that you are able to support, whether that's continuing to come to these programs, becoming a member, telling your friends to become a member, or making a donation. Each of those ways really help us sustain our work, impact our communities, and continue doing this work with all of you. So please consider supporting MoAD in any of those ways. And lastly, we'd love to hear from you as well as we continue planning out our programs and wanting to support our communities. We would love it if you could fill out a brief program survey. At the end, it just takes a few minutes, but it really helps us know how to best support you. So thank you all. And I hope to see you either in person at some upcoming events here at MoAD, or again in our virtual space, many offerings to come. So thank you all, and I hope you have a wonderful evening wherever you may be in the world.